Picture this, December 1900. On the remote, storm-lashed Flannan Isles, off the rugged coast of Scotland, stands a newly built lighthouse, a beacon of safety in the treacherous North Atlantic. But this beacon is about to become the heart of one of maritime history's most enduring and chilling mysteries. Welcome, as we delve into the baffling disappearance of the Flannan Isles Lighthouse keepers. Our story begins with the steamer ****, making its way through the turbulent waters on December 15th. Its crew noticed something unsettling. The Flannan Isles light was out. In an era without modern communication, this was a serious sign of trouble. However, due to severe storms lashing the region, it was impossible to investigate immediately. Days turned into over a week, with the light remaining dark, a silent, ominous void where a guiding star should have been. Finally, on December 26th, the weather broke just enough for the lighthouse tender ship, the ****Hesperus**, to make its way to the isolated island of eerily. As Captain James Harvey approached, a sense of dread began to creep in. The island was eerily silent. The usual welcome from the three keepers, Thomas Marshall, James Decat, and Donald MacArthur, was absent. The flagstaff was bare, with no flag flying to greet them. Captain Harvey sounded the ship's horn and fired a flare, but received no response. A landing party was dispatched, led by the relief keeper, Joseph Moore. As Moore climbed the steep cliffside steps to the lighthouse, the silence grew heavier, broken only by the cry of gulls and the crash of waves below. What he discovered inside would baffle investigators for over a century. The main door to the lighthouse was unlocked. Inside, the living quarters were in a strangely tidy but abandoned state. The clocks had all stopped. In the kitchen, a meal of salted mutton and potatoes lay uneaten on the table, as if the keepers had been called away mid-preparation. A single chair was overturned, a small, jarring detail in an otherwise orderly scene. It was as if the men had simply vanished into thin air. Moore and the landing party searched the rest of the lighthouse. The keepers' beds were unmade, and their oilskin coats' essential protection against the brutal Atlantic weather were gone. Well, two of them were. One coat, belonging to Donald MacArthur, was still hanging on its peg. This was a crucial and perplexing clue. Why would one man venture out into a ferocious storm without his protective gear? The search expanded across the small, barren island. The men scoured every inch of eerily, but there was no sign of Marshall, Decat, or MacArthur. It was as if the island itself had swallowed them whole. The only physical evidence of anything amiss was found on the west landing platform. There, the supply crane was heavily damaged, iron railings were bent and twisted out of shape, and a large storage box had been smashed, its contents strewn across the rock. A lifeline rope, which should have been safely coiled, was found lying in a tangled mess on the rocks, 100 feet above sea level. Back at the lighthouse, the official logbook offered more questions than answers. The entries leading up to the disappearance were cryptic and unsettling. On December 12th, Thomas Marshall, the second assistant, wrote of a severe storm, the likes of which he had never seen in 20 years. He noted that James Decat, the principal keeper, had been very quiet, and that the third keeper, Donald MacArthur, a notoriously tough and seasoned mariner, had been crying. This was incredibly out of character for these hardened men. The entry for December 13th described the storm still raging, so immense that all three men had been praying. Why would three experienced lighthouse keepers, secure in a fortress built to withstand the worst of nature, be reduced to tears and prayer? The final, almost illegible entry was on December 15th. Storm ended, sea calm. God is over all. But the storm they described didn't match official weather reports for the area on those dates. The weather was rough, yes, but the superstorm mentioned in the log didn't seem to exist. After that, the log went silent. The official inquiry, led by Robert Muirhead, the superintendent of the Northern Lighthouse Board, concluded with the most plausible, yet still speculative, theory. Muirhead proposed that on the afternoon of December 15th, during a lull in the bad weather, Marshall and Decat had gone down to the western landing to secure the damaged crane and equipment. According to this theory, they were suddenly hit by a colossal freak wave that swept them from the cliffside and into the churning sea. Back at the lighthouse, MacArthur, seeing his colleagues in peril, would have rushed out to help them, forgetting his oilskin coat in his panic. He too would have been claimed by the ocean. This rogue wave theory explains the damaged landing, the missing men, and the one coat left behind. It's the most widely accepted scientific explanation, and it paints a tragic picture of bravery and sudden disaster. But for many, this tidy explanation just doesn't sit right. It doesn't account for the strange logbook entries, the crying, the prayers, or the storm that wasn't officially recorded. And so, over the decades, a host of other theories have emerged, ranging from the plausible to the paranormal. One theory suggests a fight broke out among the men. Perhaps an argument escalated, leading one man to murder the other two, and then, consumed by guilt, throw himself into the sea. The overturned chair could be evidence of a struggle. However, the friends and families of the keepers described them as peaceful, professional men, and there was no history of conflict between them. It seems unlikely. Then we enter the realm of the truly strange. The Flannan Isles have a long history of local folklore and superstition. The main island, Eerily and Moor, was believed to be a place of potent spiritual power, home to fairies or little people. Shepherds who brought their sheep to graze there would never spend the night, fearing the island's otherworldly inhabitants. Could the keepers have stumbled upon something they weren't meant to see? Were they carried away by vengeful spirits? This supernatural angle has fueled countless stories. Some have speculated about giant sea serpents, or even a gigantic bird plucking the men from the cliffs. Others have pointed to alien abduction, suggesting a UFO visited the isolated lighthouse and took the keepers. While these ideas are exciting, they lack any shred of evidence. Yet, they persist because the official explanation leaves so many emotional and narrative gaps. The mystery of the Flannan Isles has seeped deep into our cultural consciousness. It inspired Wilfred Wilson Gibson's haunting 1912 poem Flannan Isle, which solidified the most dramatic elements of the story in the public mind: the uneaten meal, the overturned chair, the eerie silence. It has been the subject of songs, operas, and even a 2018 film called The Vanishing. The story taps into our primal fears of isolation, the overwhelming power of nature, and the terror of the unexplained. Over a century later, we are no closer to a definitive answer. The official report offers a logical, albeit unproven, scenario. The damaged landing and the missing gear point to a tragic accident caused by the unforgiving sea. But the strange logbook entries and the sheer completeness of the disappearance leave the door open to endless speculation. Were the logs fabricated or embellished by the relief keeper? Was the storm an internal, psychological one, a case of cabin fever driving the men mad in their isolation? The truth, most likely, was washed away by the cold, grey waves of the North Atlantic on that fateful December day in 1900. Thomas Marshall, James DeCat, and Donald MacArthur became permanent ghosts of the sea, their story a chilling reminder that even in a world of science and reason, some mysteries may never be solved. The Flannan Isles light shines brightly today, automated and unmanned, but it will forever cast a shadow of one of history's most haunting enigmas. What do you think happened to the keepers? Was it a freak wave, a moment of madness, or something else entirely? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the unknown. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe for more explorations of history's greatest mysteries. We'll see you next time.